Jupiter Rahu conjunctions. I've just did the video. I wanted to just go through the ascendants, but I thought I'd just quickly show you a very special person's chart who has this. And this is what I want to say. Don't always think this is a bad thing. This guy was way ahead of his time. And in the next few years, we're going to be using his systems even more. So here we go. And he has this conjunction of Jupiter and Rahu in his 12th house. So Nikola Tesla, just about the biggest of all geniuses ever. He has done so much for humanity that's been kept away from us. That is absolutely incredible. And you want to have a look at some videos on YouTube regarding 369, because it's very much like the mathematics that he used. And it's incredible. If they were to teach that in schools, I think it's just so much easier to navigate your way through maths, whereas there's so many children who are so scared of it. So, but he had a very, very forward-looking life. And you can see he has Jupiter and Rahu in his 12th house, and he has and it's his birthday coming up soon, so many happy returns to the man who's done so much for the humanity and had no gains from it at all. And you can see, so he was pretty much a healer, a designer, and a lot for humanity, really. That's absolutely amazing. And a lot of people took on his innovations and made money out of it, but he just said that he had what he's been given is for the betterment of the world, not himself. But yeah, so he had a lot of healing things going on and free energy and stuff. So we shall be using his systems. This is nothing to do with a car, by the way. So, but yeah. He was the people that he was talking to about his ideas and everything, they kind of took his ideas and made money out of it. And he died broke, really. So, right, let's go to the actual ascendants now. So for Aries ascendant, this will be 11th house ruler Rahu. With 9th and 11th house ruler. Oh, it's in the first house as well. So it will be somebody who will have to really watch their weight because Jupiter can expand your waistline, and Rahu can, magnify it. But Jupiter's got, directional strength there. But I don't want to talk about that kind of thing. I just want to say this brings together, as long as it doesn't go into the 6th house, brings together a really very powerful Dana yoga, because Rahu rules 11th house. So it's a money-making planet for them. And so Jupiter rules 12th house as well. So they gain money and they like to spend it too. And obviously when Jupiter is sitting with Rahu, they'll be spending big time, but they like a lot of travel, foreign travel. They like to study old texts quite a lot. They're interested in other like foreign foods, foreign husband, something like that. But they're really interested in other cultures. Now, for the next ascendant, this will be 10th house ruler, co-ruler. Rahu, and also 8th and 11th house ruler. So they could gain. They could probably be in a job that does a lot of research. They could also be in technology because of their Rahu rule in the 11th house. The 10th house co-rules it with Saturn. You have to look at Saturn as well. Actually, you can't just say that this is the. You have to check and see what Saturn is doing. But yeah, so it's obviously it's going to grow better with time, because both 10 and 11th house, they're both upachaya houses. With time it gets better, but as long as it doesn't go into the 6th house, so there could be jobs that are they can get good gains from their jobs for sure, but they will be very changeable things, nature to their job, or they work behind the scenes, they do that kind of stuff too. But generally not too bad, because it also brings it could just be because what happens is they don't have to work as hard, because if Rahu if Jupiter is strong, because sometimes in some jobs you have to really, really work hard and the gains are quite low. But with this, it could be pretty good if they work, they could be quite good gains. Then next ascendant, which will be like Gemini ascendant, this brings together 7th and 10th house ruler with 9th house ruler Rahu. So this is obviously going to be Rahu is going to really help this ascendant. It gives a couple of really nice Raja yogas. And if Jupiter is strong, like in the 10th house or in the 7th house, brings like a Hamsa yoga with it as well. So it could be really good for greatness. And if he goes in houses, like for example, if he goes into the 11th house, which is Aries, so Jupiter will be strong in a friendly sign, and it goes into a money house. It could be good for money and wealth in that sense. But obviously, we don't want 6th house, which is Scorpio. 6th house involvement with anything is going to just break that yoga. Okay, so the next ascendant is going to be, here we go. Okay. Oh, goodness me. Right, Cancer ascendant. For Cancer ascendant, Rahu rules 8th house and Jupiter rules 6th and 9th house. So this is going to be like one of those situations where through difficulties and ups and downs in life, then the luck, which is 9th house, kicks in. But it will take time, because the nature of 6th house is malefic and it breaks the yogas, gives quite difficulties, but it's something that gets better with time. So this is like they could gain eventually, after having gone through quite a lot of hardship with money, maybe they can actually then in later years or when with time, experience, and just sheer hard work and being of service, then it gives you a Viprit Raj yoga, but generally not considered very good, really. So Jupiter is a good planet because it rules 9th house for Cancer ascendants, but it's not great in the sense that it's a yoga breaker, 6th house. So it does give difficulties. They can get quite difficult teachers. They could have unusual dad. Struggle a little bit with religion, things like that, or their dad can. So next ascendant is Leo ascendant, and Jupiter rules 5th house, and Rahu 5th and 8th house. Sorry, Jupiter, and then 7th house co-ruled with Saturn. Rahu rules that with Saturn. So this brings together 5th and 7th house together. So it could give like children who have got this massive unusual talents, really, because 5th house is creativity, it's your artistic things, and Rahu is really expanding that. And Rahu also rules an angle, and this is angle and trine lords together. 8th house doesn't break anything, so they could have very unusual talented children who can maybe speak quite a lot of languages, if you go, say, for example, in the 3rd house or the 12th house, something like that. So yeah, it could be pretty good. Gives a Raja yoga, and as long as it doesn't happen in the 5th house, which is obviously karaka of 5th house, you don't want it in the 5th house, and you don't want it in the 6th house either. So in other houses, it'll be a good one. Okay, so next ascendant will be Virgo. So Virgo ascendant rules Jupiter rules 4th and 7th house, and this is the time when Rahu rules the 6th house. So this is obviously going to break some yogas there. And so even if they fall into a really good trine, the fruits will come later in life with more experience, more perseverance, hard work, and service. That's how they will actually get the results of that. So it can give like issues with relationship, issues with health of mother, cars could breakdown, things like that. So yeah, so it's something that you need to just be really risk assessing everything as you go along, rather than thinking, oh, it'll be all right, but you could run out of petrol, halfway in your journey. So you have to be always thinking ahead proactive. And for Libra ascendant, 3rd and 6th house ruler, Jupiter, and co-ruler of your 5th house, which is Rahu. So this is obviously brings in 6th house stuff in there. So there could be some issues with children. There could be that they had a child out of wedlock. Nothing wrong with that. So don't judge yourself, because it's bad enough when in society, we should never be judgmental of people and their lifestyles. Nothing to do with us. We don't want to have bad karma. So, but anyway, this is going to be like issues like, but these people are going to be like really, their education and learning can create debts for them, and but they if actually in with time and with just perseverance and everything, things will be fine. But it's they could have, having children could give them debt, education, trading in assets and stock market, that kind of thing. They've got to be careful with it. And then for Scorpio ascendant, so this is 2nd and 5th house ruler Jupiter, and ruler of the 4th house Rahu together. So obviously this creates lovely Raj Yoga, and Jupiter on its own creates money. So as long as it doesn't fall in Aries, it should be pretty okay. And obviously in certain houses, Jupiter is going to be stronger. Jupiter is quite good in the 2nd house, Sagittarius. With Rahu, that will be pretty good. Jupiter will be strong, so Rahu will be kept at bay. Obviously not good in the 5th house, because Jupiter is the significator of the 5th house, so not so good. It's not, it's going to be pretty good in 9th house, which is Jupiter will be exalted there, and not too bad. Also, it's also going to be pretty good actually in Leo. So those are going to be the signs that it's going to do well. I've just got to tell you that Rahu works really well in Mercury signs, but Jupiter doesn't do so well. So in this conjunction, it's better if Jupiter is stronger. Next ascendant. So this is Capricorn. Sorry, no, Capricorn, Sagittarius. 1st and 4th house ruler, which is Jupiter, and 3rd house ruler, which is Rahu. So this will be like they put a lot of effort into their home, into themselves, into their family, into their mom, into their everything. There's 3rd house, it put in effort, being courageous and dealing with the issues of self and families, etc. And with time, things will be really good. But it's 3rd house doesn't break any rules. So this in itself, as long as it doesn't go into the 6th house and Jupiter is strong, it should be quite good. And if it falls into the 4th house, so Jupiter rules the first is Pisces 4th house. So it could give you like a really large house. You could have foreign house. Pisces is also naturally all about the 12th house natural zodiac, being by the sea. So they could have a massive house by the sea, or a big house with swimming pool and stuff like that. So yeah, it can be pretty good as long as it's not in the 6th house. And again, it's better if it's in signs that is good for Jupiter. Like for Jupiter, it would be nice if it's like, for example, in the 1st house, because you'll have directional strength. And 4th house will be good too. It rules the 4th house. It's going to be good also in Leo, which is the 9th house. So, and those will keep Rahu at bay. Rahu does well in Mercury signs. Okay, and next one will be Capricorn ascendant. For Capricorn ascendant, Jupiter rules 3rd and 12th house, so not the greatest planet. And Rahu rules 2nd house, Aquarius, with Saturn. So this will be somebody who just constantly wants to spend money. And obviously Jupiter expands everything. Rahu is also kind of magnifies, so they just literally earn the money, spend the money, earn the money, spend the money. So that in that sense will be difficult. So they have to really put effort into not doing things like that and breaking those habits, because 12th house is addiction to spending, addictions generally, and Rahu rules the 2nd house, so they could be a little bit, or food. 2nd house is also what you put in your mouth, food, drink, drugs, things like that. But It doesn't really, in a sense, it doesn't create any form of yogas at all. But Rahu rules the second house, so house of money. So if he goes, for example, if he goes into the 11th house, which for them is Scorpio, and Jupiter will be in the friendly sign, so it can actually create money, but they will spend it too because of the nature of Jupiter. So not very good for that ascendant, really. And if he goes into the 7th house, Jupiter will be exalted. So that will be, they could travel a lot. Their partner could be foreign too. So okay, next ascendant is Aquarius. For Aquarius ascendant, this is going to be the first house ruler, Rahu. Co-rules are obviously with Saturn. Jupiter makes money, second and 11th house ruler. So being together, it can make a lot of money for these people. Obviously, that will be broken if it goes into the 6th house, which is where Jupiter is exalted. So sometimes actually that will obviously break it, but they could earn money out of people's misfortune, which is not nice, not something you want. But yeah, it's not very good in the 6th house, breaks all the yogas. But if it is in 7th house, which is Leo, if it is in say, for example, in the 3rd house, 2nd house, 11th house, 10th house, it can be quite good. So it creates multiple yogas for wealth. And if it's on the 1st house, Jupiter will have directional strength as well, which is if he's in Aquarius. So that will be, and Rahu rules it. So the person will be unusual the way that they are. They could be larger than life personality. So. And Jupiter Rahu for Pisces, Jupiter rules 1st and 10th house, so they can be self-made. And Rahu rules 12th house, so the person can have addictions, can just or be quite spiritual, where they want to just they like traveling, they're a bit secretive, they could work behind the scenes, they could work in a hospital, because Jupiter is also biology and microbes, things like that. So, and yeah, so in the 1st house, obviously, it'll have directional strength. It's Hamsa Yoga. In 10th house, the same. We'll have Hamsa Yoga and be strong 1st house ruler in the 10th house, nice Raja Yoga. And also pretty good if it's in the 5th house, because Jupiter will be really strong, exalted planet in the 5th house of intelligence. And but obviously 5th house is also it's a karaka for it, so it's going to be difficult with children, having children, or they could end up having loads of children because it will expand there. But yeah, that's it's not good when the 5th house ruler is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in that sign, or even if it doesn't rule in the 5th house, because it's karaka of the 5th house. So it could either give problems with the first child being born, or have disappointments, and then you could end up having like an army of children. In the 9th house and 10th house will be great, as well as the 1st house, or even 2nd house will be good. But obviously, because it's the 12th house ruler with it, it just means that as soon as they gain the money, they spend the money. They're not very good at saving money. Okay, so that's it. That's the ascendants. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.